Hello, everyone. Happy 4th of July, Independence Day. It's Professor P. Namaste, for I do see the light in you. The last few episodes came from some good friends down in Daytona Beach, Florida. Bob and his wife, Karen, both of whom 40 years plus recovery in 12-step program. So very honored to know them and to be able to see them on a regular basis and then to obtain these recordings. It was awesome. And, so like Karen's Trust, that recording is definitely 1988. I know one of Bob's recordings, episode 7, or it was actually episode 8, but it was the 7th episode I shared in that little mini series, definitely 1994. So again, 40 years plus recovery and 12-step fellowship. Making it clear, 12-step fellowship is not the only thing that works. There are individuals that they just quit. They decide to grow up. They're like, you know what? I'm not going to use these drugs and alcohol. I'm going to get my life together. And I guess I thought that's what it was about in high school or, when I started using. Well, eventually. And then at some point it changed. It was like, well, everybody uses. And then at some point it was like, man, I just can't stop. All right. So today, speaking of, I just can't stop, I want to look at the disease concept. So the disease concept comes from Jelinek's 1960, which he started this whole concept thing in like the 40s, but 1960 disease concept of alcoholism. Now let's just go ahead and do this. Disease concept of alcoholism and addiction, right? We're going to make it all inclusive together. This means that it's an inordinately productive concept in the medical field and society because people still don't quite believe it is a disease. There's social stigma behind what a junkie looks like, what a down and out boozer, alcoholic looks like. However, look, I think more in the field of psychiatry, we may find support that this is a disease. Jelinek spent the majority of his career observing alcoholics and addicts in the clinical setting, concluded that individuals with the disease become physiologically and physically dependent, develop this phenomena of craving, have a loss of control and unmanageability in other areas of their lives, and are unable to quit or unable to abstain to stay abstained. That comes from Kissin, 1983. You can find some of that on page 94. The phenomena of craving. So this is, don't hate on me. Don't hate. I'm just telling you the facts. That's my job, right? I'm a professor. I've gone to school, going on 11 years now. So there's certain things that I have knowledge about. There's a lot of things I don't. Most things I don't have knowledge about, but craving. So I have been in recovery, for a very long time, and I have a substantial amount of clean time. I can't crave. Craving is once the drug or the alcohol or the substance is out of your body, there's no such thing as craving. There's obsession. Have you heard like individuals if you go to 12-step groups or hey, how about in the clinical setting? All those that are, peer recovery support specialists, counselors, a client will come in and they've been clean, right? Their urine, the drug is out of their body, and they come in and they say, oh, man, I've had some cravings the last 3 days. I've just been craving. Well, no, you haven't. You've been obsessing and you think you have to use, but craving is when it is still in your body, right? It's still in your body. And then you just have to physiologically, everything within inside of your soul has to go replenish. Okay. Because it's still in your body. That's a craving. It's most notable with alcoholism, this phenomena of craving, where once you have one drink, you just can't stop. You can't stop until you black out or whatever it is you accomplish. On the contrary, or parallel, running together, in addiction, substance use, you take one hit, one pill, one line, and then you just can't stop. It's in your body. Now you have this phenomena of craving. That's craving. So a lot of times, some of us will come in and we say the wrong language. So it's not craving. If you've been clean for a substantial amount of time, if it's out of your body, if it's physically out of your bones, I don't know if methadone ever entirely leaves your bones, but you are not craving. You are just obsessing. And obsessing is normal. It's abnormal to not think about drinking and drugging if you are an addict or an alcoholic of my type, I guess. They say that too, of my type. Look, if you're somebody that has to recover every day, and find purpose in life in this spiritual program or in spiritual programs because you were using so hard, your self-efficacy, everything about your life, self-efficacy is your belief in living, your belief in making choices to live. If all of that is affected, then you're like me when you use. The disease of alcoholism and addiction can look different depending on specific character traits displayed by the individual. Essentially, the substance, right? The drug, the alcohol, it's just a symptom. For some individuals whose insatiable desire is to drink or use drugs at all costs, will destroy not only themselves, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, but the lives of their immediate family members and everyone they come in contact with. So this disease it eats everything else. Everyone else gets affected. I don't want to be around somebody that's going through the horrors of alcoholism and addiction. Do you? Have you ever been around someone that has gone through an alcoholic death? I mean, it's horrific. It's horrific. It's just as bad as the dementia or Alzheimer's. And then even worse because they're younger and in some cases faster once it really sets in. 2 medical doctors, right? So this goes back to the predecessors of the 12-step programs. 2 medical doctors, Silkworth and Tebow, anonymously contribute to Alcoholics Anonymous in 1939 because there was this social stigma. Same with the Sigmund Freud. These doctors, these professionals, these experts weren't going to put their name down. Same with the clergy that was involved in helping. It wasn't until the mid-1950s, I guess second edition, that, they were willing to break their confidentiality or anonymity. Their anonymity. But so Silkworth and Tebow in 1939, now they hide their identity because they're scared of the social stigma. And who knows if this, disease concept, all of this is going to work. And I told you that, Jelinek was working on this disease concept back in the 40s. So it was getting put together right around the time of this big book, Alcoholics Anonymous, writing publication. Silkworth and Tebow say, years of living with an alcoholic or addict are almost sure to make any wife or child neurotic. The entire family is to some extent ill. All family members should meet upon the common ground of tolerance, understanding, and love. That's not easy. That's not easy. All family members should meet upon the common ground of tolerance, understanding, and love. Well, you've been draining our bank account. You've been treating us like shit. Who knows what else you've done. You've embarrassed our family. But you know what? I'm going to tolerate you. I understand and I love you and I trust you. You're not going to relapse or you're not going to slip up again. So easier said than done. But to some extent, the entire family is ill. This involves a process of deflation, the ego, easing God out, right? We deflate the ego. The alcoholic addict's entire family, husbands, wives, children, and even in-laws, each will have fixed ideas about the family's attitude towards himself or herself. And a lot of times this is from their own past experience. Well, when I grew up, we went to church. My mother and father never drank, and we frown upon this behavior. We frown upon it. And especially generations before us, a lot of the, I'm not saying propaganda, but the prevention science the push to eliminate the attitudes that, hey, it's okay to smoke marijuana. Reefer madness. I mean, you were going to die if you smoked. And the front cover of Reefer, it showed like half naked women with the devil. So it's like essentially, if you smoke marijuana, you're going to be a devil pimp, right? And so some people's attitudes are still there. You're a devil pimp. You're using drugs, right? That's been instilled within us. So each family member's attitude towards the addict or the alcoholic is going to be a little bit different. Each is interested in having his or her wishes respected, and that can be hard, especially when your loved one is, 15 days clean, kicking, and just, respect. I know for me, I'm deflating this ego. There's this process. What am I supposed to do? You want me to mow the lawn? What do you mean respect? I can barely move. And then the family's like, well, it's your fault. You did this. See, it is a tough process for the entire family, not just when you're in active addiction, right? Even trying to get clean and recover. It is you have to do a complete 180. So now that person that you may have been for the last 3 years and that your family is known and they have these defense mechanisms and roles that we're playing to cope. Now it's like, well, I'm going to get clean. There was too much pain. And you're throwing a wrench. You're throwing a wrench into the family unit. So the process in general makes for discord and unhappiness. That's when you're in active addiction or alcoholism, whatever. And when you're first starting to get clean, it is tough. And it can be tough. It's like, man, I'm doing the right thing. I'm really trying here. Well, it doesn't happen overnight. Not just for the individual recovering, but for their family to also get on board. But quitting abusing substances, stopping substances is but the first step, right? You only get recovery once cessation has occurred. And then from there, those highly strained abnormal conditions, they can start to temper down, especially if I'm not trying to push any 12-step fellowships, but if you're working a recovery program, if you're seeing your counselor, cool. That's cool. Are you on your knees praying? All right, whatever. You don't pray? Are you out there, feeding the homeless? You're doing something. But families must realize that this journey, it's not going to be fair weather. And that comes from the big book, page 122, 123. It's not going to be fair weather. And then we have this phenomenon of relapse. How many of us have heard our family member say, yeah, I'm done. Oh, I promise I'm done. Just one more. And this isn't just drugs. I'm going to throw up gambling. Just one more. Food. Look, after this weekend, it's 4th of July. Man, I got that fried chicken. Little bit of pie. Just one more. And then the family's like, I can't believe this. Now let's look at it from the addict or alcoholic's point of view, right? As they start their journey, it's not going to be fair weather. Man, my body hurts. Who am I? What happened? I hate myself. What did I do? I spent all my money. Some of the things that I did to the ones that I love. I'm worthless. Jeez. That's day 7. It only gets harder. It only gets harder as you're starting to come to, truly awaken to what has occurred. The totality of the disease concept. Jelinek. Remember, Jelinek did this disease concept in 1960, but he was working on it during the 40s. So the totality of the disease concept is that quitting drinking, quitting addictive substances, drugs, does not mean that life gets better for the alcoholic or addict or for the family. In fact, their lives worsen. In the very beginning, their lives worsen. I'm going to tell you right now, those first 30 days, and that's if so you go to treatment, whatever, you're separated from your family. It gets worse. It gets worse when you stop. That's the difference between someone that is an alcoholic or addict compared to, Party Joe on the weekends. Is that when they quit, one individual's life worsens for that initial 30, even 60 days. And things will start to get better, but there's the wreckage of our lives, Narcotics Anonymous, the basic text, as we start to examine, accept, and take accountability, the wreckage of our lives, what it has become, and to put it back together. It doesn't happen overnight. So essentially in the beginning, the lives worsen. And so the addict or alcoholic essentially must drink or use drugs again to find relief. And then the family member hanging by a thread, if they don't choose to get into a support group or some type of recovery, what are they doing? Are they enabling? Are they falling back into that role that they've been in for, the last 3, 6, 10, in some cases, 20 years of marriage? I'm going to tell you right now, I remember my wife just saying, you might as well just use, because I was better to be around. I was better to be around, where she would submit and just say, you know what, just use, please, because I can't handle this right now. Just, at least bring back that person that I'm used to. So if you believe the disease concept, Jelinek, 1960, the disease concept, it is an incurable, chronic, and progressive disease that, when left untreated, is fatal, leaving family members hopeless and in despair. That's Narcotics Anonymous, 2008. Is it a disease? I don't know. For a long time, I can remember growing up, and it was like, I made a choice to use, even though, I can remember being 9, 10, 11 years old. Like, I always had cigarettes to smoke. There was always beer in the fridge. If I couldn't sleep, I was given a Xanax. I don't know, at some point in middle school, it was like, oh, you have a headache, or here, have a happy pill, a pain pill. But I was aware that drugs, that they were bad. Like, I knew. Yeah, there was a choice. And so there was this, at the same time, if I believe the disease concept, which I do, if I'm sick and with the disease, something deep inside me was still saying, this is a choice. Look at you. You're so weak. This is a choice. You knew better. This is a choice. You've given up. This is a choice. So, Narcotics Anonymous says we don't have to know how we became an addict. We don't know how. We don't have to know how we became addicted. If we're recovering today, the only thing that we're responsible for is our recovery. So today I do have a choice. Believing the disease concept and in recovery now, I can concede that once I put one in my body, that phenomena of craving, the disease concept, I don't have a choice. Well, don't you have a choice leading up to it? Well, sure, there is this essential. I've heard old timers say this, right? If you decide to go and pick up, you made the decision to use. Okay, that's fair. I look at it like this. If you go and you relapse, I believe you've made the decision not to utilize the resources to help you stay clean, to stay in recovery. That's what I think. But I don't know. I love y'all. It's 4th of July. Figured I'd give you a little shorty here on the disease concept, Jelinek, 1960, but then also to throw in the family. And let's not forget about our family members. There's some of us, if one of our relatives or someone we know that's close is suffering and going through this, man, it is brutal. And so if you're someone who is an addict or alcoholic and you're in recovery, trying to, it's hard. It's hard to see what we've done to our family members, and then we expect them, we want them to just turn around and trust us and love us and change. And then it's like, guess what? They don't have to change, essentially. They don't have to change. We have to change. And we do. That's the only thing that I can tell you. If you're clean today and you're in some type of recovery, you will agree with me that one thing we have to do is change. We have to change to stay alive and to make it. Our family members, if they don't have a problem and the problem is us because it was us, they don't have to change. They don't have to change. And what we do see is some of us, we will get recovery and find recovery. And then our family members who aren't addicts or alcoholics, they don't change and they're still sick. I'm going to get them. Vengeance, right? There's this spiritual, there's vengeance, there's obsession. There's those same type of traits that we displayed, but we would use over top of it, right? A lot of us, where our family members who are still caught in that disease that don't find recovery can still be unhappy. But our goal is to be happy today. I love y'all. Again, happy 4th of July. Please be safe. This was and this is POSCOM Talks Prevention Science. I don't have any plans moving forward. I thought maybe, I could get my life together and do an episode here, an episode there, but pretty busy. We got the dissertation rolling, and I will keep y'all posted on that. But I'm down here in Swansboro, North Carolina, with my wife's family, my family, and we got the grandkids, and we'll eat. We got to see some fireworks last night, and just try to be okay. And that is the only thing I can ask for today. So, all right, I love y'all. And peace, 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 peace.